Today we're talking travel. So we are live and we're going to talk about travel and specifically how to travel on a budget when you are like going to the airport. That's the main thing I want to focus on today. There are a lot of different ways that you can save money when you travel, booking your airfare, hotel stays. But one of the things that when I first started out, one of the things that I struggled with was just how to save money at the airports, because that's where you spend a lot of money. Depending on where you're traveling to, you might go to certain destinations and the cost of living is a lot cheaper than it is in the US. So you're just saving money just being there, eating and all that. But when it comes to going to the airports, that's where I would spend more money than I wanted to spend. And that's before the trip, that's on the way home, all that good stuff. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the things that I do to save money on these trips. And so I also want to know what you guys think. So how do you guys save money? Like, what is your routine when you go to the airport? How are you saving money on food and water? And what do you do in those situations? And then I also want to talk about just experience. Like, what has your experience been as far as travel at the airport? How do you make that overall experience better? So I'll tell you some of the things that I do to make that overall experience better. So we got a couple people in here. David, what's going on? Walker, what's going on, buddy? So as you guys come in, just let me know you're here just by saying hello, and we will get started momentarily. We still have about 10 minutes to go, so we can just kind of chat back and forth until we actually start the show officially. But I'm going to start, I think, coming on just a little bit earlier just to make sure everything is working properly. So once we get going, we're going. Like I said, what's going on, Altered? Like I said, we're going to talk about, I'm going to tell you some of the things that I do in order to make my airport stay, in order to make the airport experience a little bit better, a little bit cheaper. These are some of the things that I do, and then also I want to know what you guys do to make your travel experience better and cheaper. Because the main thing, like I was saying, the main thing when it comes to airports, you can spend a lot of money at airports, and they know that you're stuck. You're at an airport, you can't leave, so the food's going to be more expensive. The water, the alcohol, everything, just the prices are just spiked up on everything. So there are a few things that I do to make that just a little more bearable when it comes down to it. Let's see who else is in here. Jeremy, what's going on? And yeah, all right. So as you guys come in, just let me know you're here, and we will be starting momentarily. Do you guys have any questions for the pre-show, the pre-show portion? Then we can talk a little bit about the questions that you have, and then I'll officially start the show at 7, and then we'll go from there. So let's see. I guess now's a perfect time for me to put in the link. So if you guys haven't joined the Facebook group, jump in the Facebook group. You can learn a lot of information about travel, as well as travel credit cards and different destinations that you might want to visit. We talk about all that in the travel group, as well as like referrals too. You'll get referral links to some different credit cards, and you might be able to get better sign-up bonuses using those referral links. So just something to consider. So let me put that link in here so we can get going with that. All right, let's drop that down here. So go ahead and join the group. You guys will definitely get a lot out of it. So far, we've had a lot of interaction, and a lot of people are putting some real good information on there. And it also helps me. So if you guys have questions and stuff like that, it also helps me kind of see, okay, where should I take my next live stream? Because I can look on there and, oh, we're talking about this today, and there's a lot of comments and a lot of back and forth. Then I think, okay, you know what, this is probably a good topic to discuss on the live stream. So it helps me in that way as well. And if you have ideas for live stream, just let me know. You can just hit me up there on the Facebook group. You can do it in a messenger, or you can just put it on the page. So go ahead and join that group. Let's see. Is there any news going on right now? I don't know if there's any news in travel. I'm going to look through this really quickly, see if there's anything. By the way, I always look at, these are the two websites that I look at when I want to get information on travel credit cards or just travel news. And I'll open that up for you guys so you can all see what I'm looking at. So the first site is boarding area, and this one's really good because it will have a lot of different separate blogs, so they're all tied into boarding area, and so you have a lot of different topics that are discussed. So I think it's a real good place to go. They talk a lot about travel credit cards, but they also just talk about travel in general, different issues that that have happened with airplanes and stuff like that. And you see here, so we all know Boeing's going through some problems right now with that 737 MAX 8, and so it looks like American Airlines just canceled their order, so they're not going to be ordering any more of those planes. So that plane is probably done. I mean, I can't see them really doing anything with that plane and having people feel comfortable enough to fly on those planes, or airlines comfortable enough to purchase those planes, because that's a big deal. If just think along the lines of, if you purchase that plane, if you're an airline and you purchase that plane, we already know 2 went down. So you purchase it, and then God forbid something happens to one of those planes that you purchased, and now everyone's looking at you, even though Boeing admittedly says that it was error on their part. People are looking at you like, why did you buy that plane? You knew that there was problems with the plane. So I can't really see them going any further with that plane. They're saying they're trying to, fix the update the firmware, whatever they're doing. I don't know, but yeah, I think they're just going to have to discontinue that plane, start new, and build another plane up. Obviously, call it something different, and then go with it. But good business for the Airbus right now. I mean, they're probably taking on. So American Airlines canceled these Boeing planes, so Airbus might be able to jump in. You know what? They probably have contracts. Boeing probably has a contract with them, so they're not going to buy those planes, but they'll purchase other planes. And I'm pretty sure that's how it works. They can't just jump back and forth, I don't think. Okay, anything else going on in the news? New Hyatt free night opportunity, Vegas bachelor party alternatives. Yeah. So, and just so you know, Hyatt, and I talked about this before, but Hyatt has a partnership with MGM Mirage property. So if you're in Las Vegas and you want to stay at the MGM Mirage property, Hyatt is their partner. So you can use your points there. Not at all their properties, but you can use your points at some of their properties. You can also use you can get their program. So MGM Mirage, like let's say if I'm a globalist with Hyatt, then I can go to a MGM Mirage property and get like a status. You're not going to get their highest status, but right underneath that, you'll get that second status, even if you're a globalist. I went in there as a globalist, they wouldn't give me their top tier status at the MGM Mirage. When I say MGM Mirage, I mean all the different properties. So you have Mandalay, you have Excalibur, Luxor, MGM, Grand, New York, Bellagio. There's a couple other ones I can't think of right now, but there are a lot of properties in Vegas. So, all right, HD Chillin', thank you very much, buddy. Super chat, $10. Thank you, I appreciate that. The group chat, you mentioned something about laptops for documenting travels. Can you touch on that? Okay, so as far as an HD Chillin', what the WhatsApp group? Are you talking about from the WhatsApp group? Who are you in the WhatsApp group? Because I don't. You're not HD Chillin' in there, so just so I know kind of who I'm talking to. So I talked a little bit, and I'll talk about this right now, and then we'll lead into the discussion. As far as laptops, so I travel a lot, and I like to edit videos when I'm there. I like to also edit photos, so I go and I take a lot of pictures. So I always bring my laptop. Some people don't really want to bring their laptop. Oh, Hardy, what's going on, brother? All right. so I don't, yeah, I always bring my laptop. And so when I bring my laptop, there's certain laptops that are better than others when it comes to photo editing and video editing. And we talked about this in the WhatsApp group. That's what Hardy's talking about. So when it comes to me, I have like a little Osmo Pocket. I use that for a lot of the video that I shoot. And then I have a Sony a7R III, so I'll use that for shooting video, as well as the camera that I'm using right now, the Panasonic G7. So I have all those cameras. And some cameras, and I shoot 4K for everything, so some cameras in 4K, they work a lot better than others. So it's one of those deals where you want to get a computer that's fast enough to process all this 4K stuff. If you want to render it out in 4K, which that's what I want to do. So what I do is I have this laptop right here. You guys won't be able to see it, but it's a Lenovo Legion. It's a gaming laptop, and it was like $830, I think, something like that. And it works really well for editing. Now, when you edit 4K, computers aren't up to speed yet when it comes to 4K. Some of like the desktops, like this is a laptop, so some of the desktops they're fast enough to process all this, but a lot of the laptops are still not. They're not there, and so it still will be choppy if you're trying to edit with this computer. And this computer is, like I said, it's a gaming computer, so it's pretty fast. It has an NVIDIA graphics card. So the issue is that 4K is still too much. And so what I do is I put it in a proxy. So I edit my videos in Premiere Pro, and in Premiere Pro you can actually do a proxy. And what that means is I just put all the video clips onto Premiere Pro. And I'm gonna do like a how to do this in the future. But basically I put them all into Premiere Pro, and then once they're in Premiere Pro, then I can make a proxy out of it. So what it'll do is it'll take it, like it'll downgrade that image or downgrade that video. And once it downgrades the video, then it allows me to go through that. And when I say downgrade, I mean it's like 720p or something crazy like that. So I'm able to go in there and do all the edits the way that I want. And then when I render it, so at the end, when I close it out and render it, it will render it in 4K. So that's what I do. Even with the laptops that I have, they're still not fast enough to get me there. So that's the process that I use, and it works well. It does take a little bit more time though, because when you do that proxy, it takes time for the computer to redo that video. So now my routine is I'll go and I'll shoot for a day, and then I'll come back and I'll just render out all those videos in proxy. And what I do, I just set it aside. Put all the videos in there, set it aside, or maybe put a video in there that I want. Like I know, let's say I only shot one video that day, or let's say I shot a couple of videos. If I shot a couple of videos, I'll section them off, and then I'll do the proxies for all of them. Everything goes on the same hard drive, and it usually works fine. So I would recommend the Lenovo Legion. It is good. It's a good computer for that price range. Now, if you want to jump up and spend a couple grand for a laptop, then you'll be in a better situation, and you probably edit 4K without doing proxies. I just don't have that in my budget to spend a couple grand for a laptop. I'm not that serious about it when there are other options to do the proxies and stuff. So I have that, and then I also use the HP Spectre. It's a little 13-inch laptop, and I'll take that, and I can use proxies with that as well. So I take that. Usually that's the laptop that I take on my trips. This is a 15-inch. That one is a 13-inch. 13-inch is just a lot easier for me to carry, as well as on the plane to use and everything. So that's kind of how I go about that. Yeah, and Hardy, any other questions and stuff, just hit me up. And you can hit me up in the Facebook group. You can hit me up on WhatsApp group, and I can try to help you out when it comes to that. But yeah, thank you very much for the super chat, though, brother. I didn't know who you were, so I would have given you a thank you in the WhatsApp group, but I didn't know that. Yeah, I didn't put two and two together. All right, let's see. Okay, so we are now a little bit into that 7 o'clock hour, so we're going to go ahead and get started. If you guys are here right now, please hit the like button so we can get more people in here. And if you are new to the channel, please come in, say hello, and then also consider subscribing to the channel. Every weekend we do live streams. So Saturday, Sunday, and Monday we'll do a live stream on different topics. So it's very beneficial if you guys are definitely into travel. This is something that I think can help you guys out. Okay, let's look at some of the questions here, some of the comments. Does anybody in here use Postmates? Or you know what's funny? I just used Postmates for the first time today. That's funny that you brought that up, David. Yeah, I've never used Uber Eats, but I just used Postmates today, and I've used the Grubhub before. I actually like Postmates a little bit better. I ordered, like, I don't know if you guys have Chipotle where you guys live, but there's it's like a, what's the best way to describe Chipotle? I mean, it's Mexican food, but it's like, it's kind of like a Subway in a sense, where you go in, you tell them what you want, a chicken bowl or a bowl, and then they'll start filling it up, and then you're sitting there and you're just pointing to what you want or telling them what you want, and they're putting it on there, and then they send it down. They make these big burritos if you want them. So I ordered that on Postmates, and it got there. It got here within, they said it would be like 51 minutes. It got here maybe 20 minutes at most. And so I guess how it works is, and this is the first time I use Postmates, but I guess how it works is you're ordering everything online. That goes straight to Chipotle. Chipotle makes it, and then someone comes and picks it up. So that's a pretty good deal. Now, it's funny because you have Postmates here, you have Grubhub and all that. And I've been going to Colombia for a long time now. And years ago, before all this stuff was really popular or starting to get popular in the U.S., they were already doing that. They have a company, I think it's Rappi, and that's all they do is delivery. And they will deliver anything, like anything you want, they'll deliver. So they probably have an app. I've never used the service, but you see them everywhere driving around. They're on motorcycles usually. And it's just a messenger. Like they'll pick up food, they'll pick up medication, they'll pick up a variety of different things for you. So this is kind of new to the U.S., but they've been doing it all over the world. Okay, let's see. So I do recommend Postmates. I can't speak for Uber Eats though. All right, HD chilling again. Wow. All right. Reckless, what's going on? Amex managed to make it look like make it look like a fool again. Family dinner. Sir, sorry, we don't take American Express. Oh man, thank God for Chase. So Reckless went to, you gotta check that out before you get in there. Yeah, American Express, they're not accepted everywhere. In the U.S., they're expected. They're pretty much everywhere in the U.S. But when it comes to other countries, yeah, you might run into some problems. But yeah, that's kind of an unfortunate thing. All right, let's see. I really have never had any problems with American Express. I'm an American Express fanboy, though I love their customer service. I am not. I am an American Express fanboy, and I love. Okay, so that's Jeremy saying that. Yeah, he's never had any problems with American Express using it. And yeah, I think in the U.S. you're pretty safe. There are very few places that I see, and usually, if there is a place that doesn't accept American Express, it's like really, they really post it up there because most people just assume that they can use American Express anywhere. And I've only like a handful of places I've been to where I've actually seen it posted. Actually, there's a flame broiler, which is like a teriyaki bowl place that's near where I live, and they don't accept American Express. So yeah, but very, very few places in the U.S. Now, when you start going out of the country, yeah, you might run into some problems. Let's see, customer service. It's amazing that I know. Yeah, let's see. I know it's a good idea to have a backup card, not American Express, but I try to always use American Express first. Yeah, that's Jeremy saying it. Yeah, it's probably a good idea to have a backup card, but he always goes American Express first. Okay, and now David's, we're going to start a debate here. So yeah, it's not Amex's fault, and I agree with David. It's the wherever you went, they don't want to pay American Express the charge what American Express charges them. That's the reason they don't have American Express. So it's not American Express's fault. It's the retailer or the restaurant doesn't want to pay those fees. All right, their fees are too high. That's why. All right. Yeah, but you got to understand, Rican, too. Like the fees are high, but then that also allows us on this end to get better benefits. So I don't want this to sound crude, but I'm looking out for me, right? Yes, a restaurant. The fees might be high for that restaurant, so they might not want to go that route. But if that means that I'm getting more benefits, like a Centurion Lounge or something else, well, that's kind of the way things go when it comes down to it. But most people, most U.S. companies will accept American Express. So, I mean, it might be high, but it's still bearable. Companies are doing it or they're using it. Okay, I use Uber Eats, such as Jeremy. I use Uber Eats every month to take advantage of the American Express Platinum Uber credit. Yeah, and that's what I would do too, Jeremy. So Jeremy's using it because he has an American Express Platinum, and you get I think it's what, like $15 a month credit for Uber. And I don't use Uber very often. I only use Uber when I'm going to the airport, realistically, and that's if I can't find anyone to take me. So I'll use Uber for that. So I wouldn't be using it every month. So that I would probably be doing the same thing, doing Uber Eats for situations like that. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about just airport travel. Now, I want your feedback. So everyone, let me know what you guys do. How do you save money when you go to the airports? And one of the first things, one of the most frustrating things, and I have a few things that I've changed, like my routine, and it's allowed me to have a better travel experience. And I did a whole video like on this topic, but it's on my channel. But I did, like, when it comes to the travel experience, I hated the travel experience. I like going to different destinations. I like being in different countries and experiencing new cultures and things like that. I love that. But I hated the getting there. I hated the travel. And for a long time, I was doing the cruises because I live in Southern California, and we have like two or three. We have two for sure that are still going, two cruise lines that go out of like 25 minutes away from where I live. And the thing that I liked about cruises is you get on the boat. Once you get on that boat, your vacation has started. You don't have to think about traveling because you're on, and you spend the majority of your trip on the boat anyway, which in now looking back on it, it's like, yeah, I would much prefer flying to different destinations. But I started out doing a lot of cruises, and that's one of the things I liked about cruising is as soon as you get on that boat, your vacation start. You have your hotel or your room. I should say not your hotel. You have your room there. You have the food that's taken care of. Alcohol you had to pay for, but it was there, and so you can just start your party right there. You don't have to worry about traveling anywhere. Even though you were traveling, you get what I'm saying. It's kind of a slow cruise. So that's one of the things I loved about cruises. Now, I've gone on so many cruises, probably not a whole bunch, but like seven different cruises. And when I say different, they're not really different because most of them were going out of the same place. So I'd go to Ensenada, and then Ensenada, San Diego, which is like the weekend cruise, and then go to Cabo San Lucas and what was it? In Ensenada. That was another cruise, and then do like the Mazatlan and Puerto Vallarta, that cruise. So you do the same cruises, and then when you're going on the same boats, because you're leaving out of the same area or the same dock or whatever they call it, you're using the same boats, so you get to know the boat, and it's kind of all the same, really. So I wanted to get a new experience, and so that's why I started jumping into flying out to different destinations, because that's better travel for me. That's the way I look at it. If you guys are in here right now, please hit the like button so we can get more people in here. It will help our little algorithm go so we can have more people join in. And I want to know your how you guys travel on a budget when you get to the airport, basically is what we're talking about today. And then how do you make it a better experience too, being at the airport. So with me, the first thing that, and I didn't know all this stuff until I started kind of looking into it, because some of the stuff I was thinking like, okay, the whole food thing. Can you bring food through the terminal, like into the airport? And the answer is yes. You can't bring liquids, but you can bring food. So what I started doing is I usually don't bring like full-on food, but I will bring snacks, stuff that I like. Like I like to eat Cheez-Its, so I'll bring a bag of Cheez-Its. Or if I want to bring something to eat, like I'll bring like a sandwich. Or if it's early in the morning, I'll make like a breakfast burrito and then just, put it in and, wrap it up and then put it in my bag. Now, if you're putting stuff in your bag and it's food, you're probably going to want to have it in your backpack, and you're probably going to want to have it readily available so that you can just open it up and they can see it. So if you're going through TSA, the checkpoint, they can at least look at it and say, okay, yeah, this is food. Now, you can't bring liquids. However, you can freeze if you really want to bring like something like a drink, and it's like in a plastic bottle, you can freeze it. So if it's a solid, you can bring that in there. And then you have to obviously wait for it to thaw out. But you can't bring anything that's liquid like that. You can also bring, like they have water bottles, or they have like the portable, like the water bottles that you can condense down, or you can just bring a regular bottle. Like I have like the coffee, you drink coffee out of, or you can just have the regular bottles that you can drink out of. Sometimes I will bring those as well. So you bring it empty, right? You don't have anything in it, but then when you get in the airport, then you can put whatever you want in there. So that's what I started doing, bringing the snacks, right? And then as I started getting more into the travel credit cards and all that, then I started seeing, oh, well, I can get Priority Pass. If I have Priority Pass, well, then now I can get snacks in there, as well as I can get beverages, alcohol, all that good stuff. So I still bring, I'll still bring snacks that I want, because you don't know what's going to be in Priority Pass Lounge. They can have a variety of different things in there, and it might not be anything that you want. So I'll usually bring at least something to snack on when I'm on the plane. And then I'll go into the lounge and I'll get water and all that stuff. And yeah, I've been known to take water and put it in my backpack, and not just water, but water, and then they usually have soda and juices and all that stuff. So I'll bring some stuff for me on the plane. So I spend very little money in a gift shop or in buying food. I spend very little money when it comes to that. And also with Priority Pass, some airports, they will allow you, we talked about this yesterday, they will allow you to, or they have partnerships with restaurants that are in the airport. So you can go, and if Priority Pass, you get like $30 credit. So I can go into a restaurant and get food there. Now, if I want to bring it, I can go there, sit down, eat, and I'm good that way. Or I can get food, maybe eat a little bit, and then save some to go so I can have it on the plane if I want to do that. I never rely on the airplane food. I never rely on that. And my main reason for that is it's hit or miss. And I don't care if you're flying economy or business class. I've been on some business class flights, and the food was just not good. It's bottom line. When I flew to the United Business Polaris business class, flew out to Thailand. So I actually went to China first. That food was not good. It was not good. And it was, luckily I did bring some, I didn't bring any food with me that time, but I got some food at the not food, but like snacks and stuff at the lounge before I left. And I had some stuff to kind of snack on, but that meal was not good. And then they also have on United, they have like a galley. They'll just open it up and you can just kind of go and pick and choose some different things that you want. So I was able to do that. But I always will have something with me. Either I'm bringing snacks or I'm going to get something in the lounges. So that's one big way that I save money, because we know, I know when I first started traveling, I wasn't bringing anything. I would go, and this was my same routine, like the first half dozen times that I traveled, same routine. Get to the airport, I'm hungry, so I go get something to eat. I'm paying $15, $16 for the food that I get. It's like a burger or whatever it is. And then I need to get water, so I go and get some water, and that water is like $5. And then I'm getting usually I get a snack because I'm thinking in my head, okay, well, probably gonna want a snack for the plane. So I go get a snack. That's another $3, $4. And so all said and done, I mean, what is that, like $30 that I spent just right there in the airport, where I could have saved a lot of that. Minus even the meal now, like I said, with Priority Pass, you can go to some of the restaurants and get a full-on meal if you want to do that. Another thing that I do too, and this is just me, I can pretty much eat anything, but when it comes down to it, I like to eat something that I'm familiar with before I get on a plane. Like I don't want to eat anything that's foreign to me, or try it for the first time, that kind of stuff. No, I generally don't do that. I like to eat at home. I generally don't like to eat at the airport like a meal. But with Priority Pass, there are a lot of different places like P.F. Chang's. I've eaten at P.F. Chang's before, so I'm familiar with that food and what I like, what I don't like, or what will upset my stomach and what won't. So that's, if I'm familiar with the restaurant, if I do my research, look at Priority Pass and say, okay, they have this restaurant, then I'll go there. But for the most part, I do like eating at home before I go on a long trip, just so I know that I don't have to eat what's on the plane, that kind of stuff. And then also too, other ways that I save time too, because it's not just saving money, but it's also saving time. I don't like, and I talked about this before, but I don't like waiting in lines. That's one of my biggest pet peeves, is having to wait in these long lines, and everybody's frustrated because they're waiting in line. So I do have the global entry. I highly recommend getting global entry if you guys are interested in travel. And I say global entry, not TSA PreCheck, because if you get global entry, it's going to cost you $100, as opposed to TSA PreCheck will cost you $85. But global entry will give you global entry, plus it will give you TSA PreCheck. And that will allow you to go through a separate line, so you don't have to be waiting in line with everyone else. Another good thing is if you have elite status with airlines, so that means you travel a lot, so you're able to get elite status. When you check in, you have a separate line that you can check in. Also, if you fly business class, if I'm doing a long trip, I'm trying to fly business or first class. In most situations, that's what my goal is. And so, in those situations, I can check my bag in, and I can go into a separate line. I don't have to wait with everyone else. And those lines are always crowded. Like, to check your bags, they're always crowded. I've seen, different airlines are starting to do different things where you can go up to kiosks now and you don't have to wait in line. You go up to kiosk, put your information in, and then just go straight to the person who's going to check your bag. So you can do that. So they are trying to change things up a little bit. But I hate having to wait in those lines to check your bag. So much so that I don't check my bag a lot. Like very rarely do I check my bag now if I can avoid it. If I'm bringing all of my camera gear, then I can't avoid it. So I will check a bag. But if I'm not bringing all my camera gear, let's say if there's an event, I want to bring all my camera gear for an event. But if I'm not bringing all my camera gear, then I'm pretty good with being able to put everything in carry-on and then bring in a personal item with me, and that generally works out for me. Okay, so that's kind of what I do to make that experience just a little bit better. TSA PreCheck, or I'm sorry, global entry, and then I use it TSA PreCheck, and other little things. Just having an airline credit card will give you priority boarding. That's another pet peeve of mine, not being able to board first, or not first, but getting on the plane before a lot of other people get on the plane. And my big issue with that is if I'm bringing a carry-on plus my personal item, there is a possibility that carry-on will not make it. I won't be able to bring it onto the plane. Like if I'm one of the last people in the last group to go in, there might not be any room for that bag, and then they have to check my bag, and I really don't want to have to do that. So I try to, I want to be one of the first ones on the plane. So that means that if I have a United card, which I do have, then I'm trying to fly United or one of United's partners, because then I get that priority boarding. So I'm looking at that. I also have an American Airlines card. So if I ever fly on I will be flying on American Airlines soon, because I still have points on that card and or points in that account, and I need to use those points just so I use them and then I'll be done. Those are the things too. Now, another little kind of hack tweak is when you let's say you bring your carry-on, and I guess you bring your carry-on, but you really just want to check it because you don't want to have to lug it through everything. If you bring it to your terminal, so let's say you have your carry-on, you take it through the checkpoint and everything, and then you bring it to the terminal, you can ask them to check your bag, and they'll check it, and they're not going to charge you anything. So if you want to not have to worry about lugging it, let's say you have 2 stops, a couple layovers or whatever, and you don't want to have to keep bringing it out of the plane and wheeling it wherever you're going, and then get back on the plane, put it back up in the overhead, and then you don't want to have to do all that, right? So just bring it in. So let's say you're coming in Los Angeles, you get to the airport, you lug it in, you go through the checkpoint, and then once you get to your terminal, then you just say, hey, can you check my bag? And they'll check your bag, no problem. And they're not going to charge you anything, so you can avoid that fee. But another way to save money is just have their credit card. So if you have the United credit card, or I say United, but let's say if you're flying United, you have United credit card, then you're going to get that free bag, so you don't have to worry about that. Plus, people that come with you can also get free bags. Just something else to think about how to save money too is just have one of their credit cards. Even some of the credit cards with no annual fee will give you a free check bag, so you can look into that. But definitely, there are ways to save money, and now we're in a time now where they're just charging you for everything, and there's certain airlines that will charge you for extra bags, and how can I say, most airlines will charge you for extra bags, but there's some airlines that will charge you just to have, like, you can bring a personal item on the plane, but you can't bring a carry-on, a piece of luggage, and if you do, then they're going to charge you for that, and just crazy stuff like that. So they are always trying to make money. They are in the business of making money. So you just want to try to avoid all that if you can, as far as paying a little bit extra for things. All right. So if you guys I want to know what you guys do. How do you guys save money when you go to the airport? We can start discussing that. And if you guys are in here right now, please hit the like button. If you haven't done so, let's try to see if we can get up to 30 likes in this live stream. And let's see what we have here as far as questions are. ImageWire, what's going on? So he's asking about the Lion credit card. Has anyone used this company to change the color of the material of your card? I haven't. Is this the one that oh, it's not opening up. Is this the one that we were discussing last week, where they will actually make your credit card, or was that something different? Let's see. Yeah, that's the one we discussed. Okay. Yeah, I don't know anything about that Line credit card. That link that you put in there, though, doesn't go anywhere, so just so you know. I made the post about it on Facebook. Yeah, so get in the Facebook group, ImageWire. I think you're in our Facebook group. If you're not, then jump in our Facebook group, join it, and then you can check out what Jeremy wrote about it. Okay, it's against all those lounges policies to take food and drink out of the lounge. Yeah, well, just so you're aware, everyone does it, but might piss off the lounge. Yeah, and I try to be discreet about it. I'm not going to just be blatant, grab a whole bunch of stuff and walk out. I would imagine it is against our policy because they are allowing you in the lounge, and people just grab stuff and take it out and give it to people outside and things like that. But yeah, I'm generally pretty discreet about it, and I don't go overboard when it comes to that kind of stuff. Usually it's just a couple of, if it's a drink, it might be one can of whatever, or maybe a little bit of water or something like that. For the most part, that's all I generally take. And then like I told you, I bring snacks usually, because you can never trust what's in the lounges as far as snacks and stuff that they'll have. So I usually just bring a few snacks on my own, like trail mix. I like bringing that because You could eat that just to keep you from getting hungry. Especially if I have a long flight, a couple of long flights all put together, I would much rather have some trail mix and then have like some Cheez-Its or something like that just to keep me occupied, so I don't get really, really hungry. So yeah, no, but I appreciate that, David. Yeah, and just so you guys know, what David's saying, you know, the lounge is frowned upon you taking things out of the lounge, so don't be blatant about it. Like, definitely, if you are thinking about, yeah, you know what, maybe I should take some water for the road, you know, discreetly put it in your bag and then go. But definitely don't try to make a big scene about it by grabbing a whole bunch of stuff and walking out. For the most part, with lounges, I can't see them really enforcing that. What I mean is, I just think it might look bad for them to enforce that. They could. They have every right to, and I'm sure they have a policy that's in. The reason that they have that policy is because they don't want people just blatantly doing it. If you're walking out and you're holding something, even if you're walking out holding a drink, I don't think that they're going to really raise too much of a fuss because, for one, depending on what lounge you're in, I mean, it might be an airline lounge, you could be, you know, flying business class, that kind of stuff. You really want to make a deal about them bringing a couple of cans of soda out? I don't know, like that. Yeah, you gotta have to kind of pick and choose your battles. But definitely, if you have people that are bringing a bunch of stuff out, or clearly they're bringing like a plate out to, you know, out of the terminal, that kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, obviously they're gonna probably confront you about that. But if you're discreet about it, I think you should be fine. But just understand, if you do get confronted, oh, I'm sorry, and I would just put it back. I wouldn't even walk. Most people are probably going to, I mean, even if they do confront you, they're probably just going to let you take whatever it is. But they'll probably just remind you, just so you know, just kind of how David said right now, just so you're aware that you're not supposed to take things out and go that route. What's going on, Rolo? I flew on Emirates business class, Orlando to Dubai, and the food was okay. Yeah, you know, in Emirates, I would think Emirates food would be really good, but it's hit or miss. Like I was really, really, what's sad? I don't know what to say. Like, I'm flying business class, United. Everyone talks about the Polaris experience and all this good stuff, and lie flat seat. That was all good, but the food was not. It just wasn't. I didn't. Yeah, maybe I got the wrong thing. They had a few different things that you can order from. Maybe I got the wrong thing, but yeah, the food just wasn't that good, or just wasn't good. And I flew like just this last trip, I flew on Copa Airlines all the way up, so I flew business class there. So on that 5-hour flight going up there, they had I got a meal there, and it was breakfast though because I flew a red eye. So breakfast was pretty good. It was good. And then on the way back, I flew on Avianca. Now Avianca had a better. Their meal was good. Actually, their meal was better than it was business class too, but their meal was better than United's meal going up. And it was like the just regular like business class. It wasn't like a lie flat seat or anything on Avianca. But the meal was pretty good. So it's hit or miss. You don't know what you're going to get, and you're thinking if you get more of that, I don't know. In my head, I'm thinking if I'm flying on business class and it's like overseas and it's more expensive for the seat, and you think the food would be a little more top notch, but for whatever reason, it wasn't. One thing that I did like, or one thing that I do like about airlines, just since we're talking about food, I like when they give you a menu. And not all airlines do that, which is weird. It was weird to me because when I flew on Avianca, they didn't give you a menu. They would come out and tell you what they had, but they wouldn't give you a menu. And I don't know. I'm a visual person, so I like to be able to see like what it is that I'm getting, and then read. Okay, it has this, it has that, it has this in it, as opposed to them just telling me, okay, we have chicken with this, with rice, and yeah. So that's one of the things that. The experience that I really don't like. Like, I like for them to pull out a menu. United, they have a menu. Like, they pull out a menu and you can look at it and see exactly what you want. Even Copa had a menu that I could look at. So, I don't know, just kind of a side note there. Let's see. I've been caught several times in secondary inspection on the jewelry, or I'm sorry, on the jetway by airport security, confiscating items purchased and the airport, mostly liquids. Really? Image, that's interesting. I didn't even know they would do that. Unless you're going, unless you're coming, like let's say you have a layover and you stop and then you have to go because for whatever reason, and this is another one of my pet peeves. We're going to be talking about just pet peeves tonight about airports, but another one of my pet peeves is when you go to when you're flying, you fly to one destination, or you fly and you get a layover, and then that layover you're just doing a connector, so you're going to another spot. Like perfect examples, when I came back from Colombia, I flew from Medellin to Bogota, so still in the country, and then from Bogota we flew to El Salvador. And that's just Avianca's route. So you flew to El Salvador, and then from El Salvador, then we flew back to the U.S. So when we flew to El Salvador, we had to go back through security in El Salvador, which was ridiculous. Like we're catching a connector. Why do we have to go back through? So that's a little frustrating because just like Image was saying, I had to go through secondary again, or not secondary. I had to go through the security again, which ended up me having to go through secondary, and I was really stressing because we only had 55 minutes, I think. So from one flight to the next, there was a 55-minute time, like for me to catch the next flight. And so as soon as I got in, we got in pretty much on time, but I had to wait in line. And I have global entry, but it doesn't work in other countries. TSA PreCheck doesn't work in other countries, so I had to wait in line like with everyone else. And then once I got through the line, then they put me into secondary. So then I go into secondary when I'm sitting in secondary waiting. And basically that's what I had to do. They had all the luggage, everyone's luggage lined up. And so I'm waiting. And so it probably took about 20, 25 minutes. And so as soon as the worst part about this whole thing is I'm looking at my gate. Because my gate that's one good thing though, I guess. My gate is right there. So when I'm going through and I'm waiting in secondary, I'm looking at my gate and I'm seeing people getting on the plane. And I'm like, I gotta get on the plane, I gotta get on the plane. But I'm staying calm and everything. And they just wanted to go, I had all my camera gear. They just wanted to go through all my camera gear. And that's all she did. She just opened up, both of my pieces of luggage went through, like my personal item plus the luggage I was carrying. And she just opened it up and just looked through all my stuff, pulled everything, not everything out, but pulled a lot of the stuff out. And then she was like, okay, you're fine, put everything back in. And then I went. But that's very frustrating when they do stuff like that, because that would be a perfect situation. Yeah, you go to the airport, you buy a bunch of stuff, and at one airport, so I'm in Bogota, right? I'm in Colombia, I buy a bunch of stuff. Maybe souvenirs and things that I want to take home. There might be liquids and things like that. And then I get to El Salvador, and then I have to go back through security. And guess what? Now they're going to start taking that stuff, and I won't be able to take it. So, yeah, that would be very frustrating. So I don't know if that was your experience, Image. I guess we can read here and see if you have anything else that you said. Let's see. The flights were always headed to the U.S. Yeah, and that's the thing. Like I said, these connectors, I don't quite understand it. The only thing I can think of is, I know at certain airports in other countries, the U.S. we don't really do this, but in other countries, you go through security at the gate. So there's no we have the TSA PreCheck in certain designated areas. We go in, we go through the security. Once we hit that security, then we're free to roam throughout the whole terminal and go to all the different gates. Well, in some countries, the gate is where your gate is. That's where you go through security. And I had that experience in Panama. I went to Panama. I was going to Panama. I had a layover in Panama, and I was going somewhere else. This was another trip, and that's the way it was. The security was right at the gate, and I didn't figure it out. The only thing, there was no indicators. You just had those. those rope lines. So they had the rope lines around the gate, so you couldn't actually get into the gate area. But I didn't realize, yeah, they were setting. They didn't have anything set up at the time. So then they gradually came in and they start setting everything up, and then everyone went through at that point. So, yeah. So that's the only thing I can think of. Okay, that every gate has their own little check-in point, and so that's probably why everyone has to go back through security, because when you come out, you're going to be going to a different gate. You're not going to stay in the same gate. Okay, let's see. What's going on, Maine? Delta gives away Cheez-Its on the plane. Yes, they might give away Cheez-Its, but I'm picky, okay? So they have like the normal Cheez-Its. I like the white cheddar Cheez-Its. That's whatever. But so those are the ones that I usually bring with me. Plus, yeah, they give you that bag of Cheez-Its. You guys have seen that little tiny bag that they give you. I'm sure you can ask for more, but I don't want to be that guy that's, hey, can I get 3 or 4 bags of those? So I usually just bring it with me, and it's small. It fits easily in my backpack, so it works out. And it's something that I know, and I can eat if my meal's not good, or if I just need something to snack on, or if I'm trying to stay awake on a long flight. Which, I mean, there are times like if I'm working and I'm working on something, I want to stay awake. I just eat a little something, and it kind of gets me, wakes me up a little bit. Let's see, Maine. I flew on Swiss Air Business, and the food was okay. Is that okay, or is that like good? Okay, I flew in economy, United, British Airways. All those foods were bad. Yeah, I don't know. It just depends. And Maine's just saying that he flew on Swiss Air and the food was pretty good, but then he flew on like Iberia, British Airways, and United, and the food was bad. So I don't get it. Yeah, they I think if you're flying business class, he's saying he flew on economy, but even if economy, the food should still be pretty good. Like I don't know. I've flown on airline. I tell this story. I've told the story before. I flew on Hainan Air, and that food was great, and it was economy. I flew both business class and economy, and the food on both those flights were it was really good. Okay. Let's see. Jeremy's asking, can you do 4K videos? For live streams, no. They're 1080p is pretty much all you're gonna get. I don't even think anyone's streaming 4K. That's not on YouTube. Just you don't have enough. There might be some people doing it, but you have to have a real strong internet connection, as well as a computer that's fast enough to process everything. So I do 1080p on here. I think I'm still doing 1080p. Now that you say so, I want to check it real quick. Last I looked, it was 1080p. I think it still is. Let's see. Okay, yeah, it's still 1080p. So I do 1080p on here, and then when I do my the videos that I edit, I do that in 4K. So that's kind of the way that I run that. But I was just saying, like when you're editing video, yeah, 4K, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. It does a lot to your computer, so you have to have a pretty strong computer to do that. But I tell people, i7 processors are generally pretty good, but you're going to want to get good editing software. So good editing software, Premiere Pro, get that. The Creative Cloud one is the one that I use, and that's a pretty robust editing program, and it will allow you to do the proxies, and you can do the proxies, you can edit a lot faster. I know Final Cut also has like they have a pretty good setup with, I don't use Apple products, but if you do have a MacBook or something like that, they're generally, with Final Cut, they're generally pretty good as far as editing goes. Let's see, all airplane food sucks. That's David saying that. No, I don't agree with you. I think some of it's pretty good. I've had some really good experiences. British Airways, I know Maine was talking about British Airways, that economy flight was bad, but I flew British Airways first class, and that food was excellent. Like some of the best food that I've had, period, was on that plane. Believe it or not. And I'm not, you guys, very rarely talk about British Airways. One thing bad about British Airways is that you have to pay a lot more for taxes and fees, a lot more. Like that first class flight, taxes and fees was $600. And the only reason that I did it is because when I was going to do it, I got that $300 travel credit around that time. And so I said, you know what? I'll just do it. I want to fly first class. I've never flown like a true first class overseas, that kind of thing. So I went ahead and did it. And I'm telling you, that food was excellent. That's the only time that I've been on a plane. Yeah, that's the only time I've been on a plane and gotten like some food and thought, I want to get like another whole plate of this. This is really good. Down to the dessert and everything. It was good. And then they'll bring the chocolates around after you finish your meal. So they'll give you dessert, and then they'll bring the chocolates around and give you chocolate and make your bed and all that. It was a really good experience. One thing I will say about United, one thing they do right in their business class, I don't know if it's probably just business class. I don't know if it's economy as well, but they serve you ice cream. So they have a little ice cream cart. They bring the little cart out there, and you have your little scoop of ice cream, and then they'll ask you what you want on it. You can put chocolate and caramel and nuts and all that stuff. So they do that. They do that right. That was actually the best thing that they had as far as food or anything, food related. That was the best thing that they had. I would have just eaten that instead of dinner, like eating a couple of those. Let's see. But no, there's some airline food that's pretty good. If you're flying business class, usually you should get. I'm not saying that United Polaris, that food that I had on that plane was bad. It just wasn't good. Like it was just average food. It wasn't anything that I think that they should have had something better. Let's just put it that way. But it wasn't like bad food. It was edible. Okay, Maine. Speaking of traveling on a budget, I think the trickiest airlines are the low-cost airlines. Ones who flew Wizz Air. I've never even heard of Wizz Air. Where I had to pay €13 because it didn't print out my boarding pass. Yeah, and that just makes bad. Like I don't know how they do stuff like that or why they do stuff like that. You have these economy airlines that will just nickel and dime you for everything, and that just makes that would just make me mad. Like that would get me to a point where I'm willing to pay more just because I don't want to have to go through these headaches of trying to figure out, okay, well, now I have to pay extra money because I didn't print my boarding pass, or I didn't do this, or I didn't do that. So I don't want to have all that stress when I'm at the airport. I'm already stressed out anyway. I mean, like I said, I've gotten to the point where I've made that experience a little bit better, where I don't have to wait in line as long as in most situations I don't really have to wait in line, and things like that. You bring a little food on the plane so you don't get frustrated when they bring out this unedible food. So yeah, it is a little irritating when you get on a plane and they're starting to nickel and dime you for all this other stuff. All right, Walker, what are you writing here? Okay, I think I could show that. Okay. But I don't get that. Like if you're an economy airline, just be upfront with everyone and just add that stuff to your actual price of the ticket, and just go from there. And I've seen, like, and we all talk about Spirit every once in a while, jokingly, and I see World of Walkers in here saying stuff about Spirit, but I've seen Spirit's tickets higher than, and I think, what was it, a couple of days ago when we were on the live stream, or yesterday, or I did a live stream where I was pulling that up, and you had, I think it was American Airlines or United, and then you had Spirit Airlines, and it was more expensive than these other two. So when you start looking at things like that and you're thinking, okay, and they're also going to charge you for a little extra, if you bring a bag, a carry-on and stuff like that. So Spirit's charging more to book your flight. Plus, when you get there, you're going to have to pay a little extra. That would really, that's why I don't deal with that. Like I said, I want to know what I'm getting. So I know what I'm getting when it comes to United. I know what I'm getting when it comes to American Airlines. So with those airlines, I know what I'm getting, and I can just kind of go with it and not have to think, okay, well, I got to pay extra for this or pay extra for that, which is pretty ridiculous. So Walker's saying Spirit Airlines is greedy. Yeah. And that's what it comes down to. And people still fly on them. I mean, they're still around. So it is working for them. Let's see. And that's what Walker's saying. You have to pay $3 for water. I mean, ridiculous. Like, yeah, I just don't get it. I really don't. And we know how things are. And I don't know what $3 is getting you on Spirit because I haven't been on that airline. But usually when they bring water out, like if they really want to do it right, they give you that little tiny cup. Like, this is a real cup. They give you this little tiny cup that's like that big. And then they have a water bottle. So just one tall water bottle. And they just pour a little bit of water in there and give you your water. They can use that water probably for pretty much the majority of the people on the plane. Because all they're doing is just pouring it into a glass. And then if you get ice, then you get ice and then you pour. And Spirit wants to charge you $3 for water. It's like, come on, Spirit, just get a couple water bottles. How much does it cost to buy a couple of those water bottles? You can get it for like 99 cents in the store or less. You can get the bigger ones for like 99 cents. And then just have that on the plane so people get free water. Wow. Imagine that. But put it in the cups and I mean, it's stuff like that. Like if I'm sitting on a plane and I say, hey, can I get some water? Oh yeah, that'll be $3. What? I would lose it. Yeah, just offer water to people. It's ridiculous. Okay, we can do all this talking now because Nika's not on here. But no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I don't know where you work, Nika, so I'm just kidding. Okay, so, she's here. Sorry. Nika's saying that Spirit's highly profitable. That's good. But I'm just saying, for customer service, and that I'm big on customer service when it comes to really pretty much anything. I'm big on customer service when it comes to me buying products, camera equipment, travel, airline, hotel. I'm big on customer service, and I want to be treated a certain way. And you want to be treated like you're a valued customer. And if you're flying and you are, I mean, Nika, come on, you got the whole water thing. Charging for water to me is just crazy. Get those water bottles, pour them out in little glasses, and people will at least be satisfied. Like, okay, you know what? I can get water. I don't have to pay for anything. Like as far as, and I don't know. Like, I have not flown on Spirit. Let me just put that out there. Like I've said it already, but I'll say it again. I have not flown on Spirit. But if that is the case where you're charging for water, at least have something that's free, a beverage that's free, so people don't have to pay for it. So they can say, okay, at least I can get free coffee or I can get free water, but I have to pay for soda. I would at least be a little bit more like, that sounds a little better to me. Yeah, you have to pay for soda, okay. But you don't have to pay for water, or you don't have to pay for orange juice, or you don't have to pay for coffee. So, let's see. Nika's saying, I never flew Spirit, but I flew WOW. Okay, so WOW, I guess, charges you too. All right, so that's just kind of my little rant when it comes to that. You got me all spun up on that. But and then Jeremy's talking about Delta. Delta is king. I have not flown on Delta. I need to do that. I really do. I'm gonna have to make it a point to try to get a flight on Delta just to see how they are, and then maybe in the future start working on getting some credit cards, some Delta credit cards. And I know Delta allows you to like buy your way to the top status. So that might be something that I'm interested in too. Samuel, wow, went bankrupt. Yeah, they did. We talked about that last week. Yeah, they're done, and they did it in a shady way too. I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I just that whole wow thing. Like people are paying for tickets and they were giving people options, but they weren't refunding money. So they were giving them options where okay, well, we have these other airlines that are. Uh, I won't even say a partner, but that are willing to help you guys out. You still have to pay for it, but you get like a discount. So that right there just shows you, hey, and whenever you're booking travel, do it on a credit card. Do it on a credit card because you can always do a chargeback in cases like this where a company goes bankrupt. At least you have an opportunity to get your money back because it's not an automatic thing. If a company goes bankrupt and they're an airline and you've already purchased your tickets, you it's not going to be easy to get your money back. And I guess apparently they don't. If you go bankrupt, you go bankrupt, right? So you don't have to refund people their money back. Okay. Haven't flown on a Delta either. This is Nika saying this. Haven't flown on a Delta either, at least not in a very long time. I'm going to use my Amex airline credit to buy gift cards to Delta. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna have to try Delta out. I've like and I think I said this. I've said it a few times, but I flew Delta a long, long time ago, and it was just it was one of those deals. I would just try to get home. Um, we were we went to um, we were in D.C. We went to an inauguration out there, and we were there for like 10 days. This is years ago. It's like 10, 12 years ago. And so coming back, we were just ready to leave. We were ready to get out. There's just so many people in D.C. And so my uncle, he had points. And this is before I knew anything about points and all that. But I kind of knew that he used to fly Southwest all the time. And he would use the points and stay at Marriott's and all this stuff. So I knew he was doing it, but I didn't really know like what it was all about. But yeah, he booked me a flight because we were all ready to go. Like we wanted to leave early. It was just crazy out there. Too many people. So we cut our trip short, and so he got on Delta and just booked me a flight and said, "All right, here's your flight. You're ready to go." And I'm like, "All right, how much I owe you?" And he's like, "No, don't worry about it. I used points, so it didn't cost me anything." And I'm like, "All right, well, let's go." And so we took off, and so I flew Delta then. And all I remember is I was sitting next to this drunk lady. It was pretty bad. I thought she was gonna get kicked off the plane because she was that belligerent. Yeah, it was interesting. But luckily, as soon as we got in the air, she fell asleep and she was out for the whole. I mean, this was what, a 5-hour flight or something like that. She was out the whole flight. Yeah. All right. Let's see. How have you guys experienced that, like being around drunk people, or have you been a drunk person on the plane? It was funny, and it just brings this. We were going to Vegas. This is a 45-minute flight, right? And this guy, actually, what exactly happened? I'm trying to think exactly what transpired. He almost didn't get on the plane. He was drunk, and they weren't going to let him on the plane. And they were just like, arguing back and forth, not really arguing, but, just discussion back and forth. So we're at LAX, we're flying out to Las Vegas. And like I said, it's a 45-minute flight at most. So this guy's he's belligerent and just, doing all this stuff. And so they decided, okay, yeah, you know what, we'll let him get on the plane. So they let him get on the plane. And so he was still noisy on the plane. But I take that back. We were already on the plane. That's what it was. I'm sorry. We were on the plane already. And then he was drunk, I think, getting on the plane. But once he got on the plane, he started just yelling stupid stuff or whatever. They stopped serving him. So they cut him off. That's what happened. So we're in the air. They cut him off. And so he gets more belligerent because he got cut off. And so, and so it was just comical, and people start getting mad and telling him, "Hey, be quiet," whatever, because and like I said, it's a 45-minute flight. Like literally, you're in the you're at the highest elevation for like 20 minutes, and then by the time you get up there, they serve you your your beverage, whatever it is. Then you're on your way back down. And so yeah, he was just being belligerent, being stupid, and all that. And so they're trying to calm him down. The flight attendants tell him, "Man, we can't serve you anymore. You've been drinking too much, all this stuff." And so he's just he's just being the way he is. And so the funniest part about it is once we land, we get into Vegas. He got out before us. Like I think he might have been in front of us anyway, but he got out and he's already at the bar. So when we come out, we're walking, getting ready to go get our bags. He's sitting at the bar in the airport. Like this guy, he's got a problem. He's drinking too much. Like, good Lord. And all he kept saying was shots, shots. Like on the plane, he was like, shots, I want shots, shots. So he's saying all that. And the funny part, that's what was really funny about it. He started making noise, shots, and saying all this stuff prior to them serving the drinks. And so they served the drinks, and then once they got to him, then they said, "Oh, sir, sorry, sir, you can't have any more drinks." And then he got all belligerent and everything else. But that's all he kept saying was shots, shots. I want shots. And like, you know, so they they didn't give him anything. But yeah, what's your experience? Have you been around people who have been drunk on a plane? Crying babies, that's another thing. There's some things that, you know, people, I mean, you just have to deal with it. You get those noise canceling earphones. They work for that. They kind of work for that situation. I had a crying baby sitting right behind me last year, and I had the little noise canceling earphones, and so I had those on, and I was pretty good. But that baby cried the whole trip. I was on my way to Aruba, and she was crying the whole way. So yeah, but yeah, let me know in the chat. Let me know if you guys have any experience like that. And try to keep it clean, because if you don't, they're going to block us. So it's this, let's see, I'll show that. Okay. Let's see, David, TC, to buy Delta status, you at a minimum have to spend 25,000. 250,000 to top status. Wow, 250,000 you have to spend to get top status on Delta, and you have to fly a ton. Yeah, so you have to have a business basically. If you have a business where you're purchasing a lot of products and stuff, then you could probably get that top tier status. But they give you the option to buy your way in, where not all airlines will give you that option. But if you're spending 250,000, well, like I said, if it's a business and it's kind of turnover, so I'm buying my products and selling them, then I can see that, see you doing that. But yeah, that's still a lot of money that you're spending. That's to hit top status. Let's see, Samuel, you're going to switch to Delta Airlines for Amex Airlines credits as well. Nice thing, if you have the Amex Platinum, we will be able to go to Delta Sky Clubs. Yeah, so you can go to Delta Sky Clubs with the American Express Platinum, but I think you do need to book on Delta, right? So you have to have a Delta ticket in order to do that. Rolo, I use Delta if I have to fly to Europe, United for Asian flight, Southwest. If I want to take Vegas trips, I fly out either Tampa or Orlando. Okay, so you got it all set up there, Rolo, as far as your different destinations and different planes that you take. Let's see. It's always Vegas, Nika. Yeah, you got crazy people flying out to Vegas. And this was like, I go with some buddies. We watch the Super Bowl in Vegas every year. And that was one of those things, we were going to watch the Super Bowl. We usually the casinos will, not all of them, but some of them will have like these big Super Bowl parties. So that's where we were going to one of those. And so, yeah, you have just rowdy crowd, people. Everybody's trying to party and have a good time. Anyone to know if Hilton Honors points can be converted to airline miles? I don't think they can. You're not able to transfer those points over to an airline. But if you have them, like, that's why I always advise people to get like your Chase Sapphire Preferreds, or your American Express, or your your city thank you points, because those points you can transfer to different places. But if you just have points that are like a hotel branded card and you have points on, with that hotel, you can't really do much with them. As well as like, I know the only hotel at the time that was allowing you to do that was SPG. They had airline transfer partners, so you can have points with SPG and then you were able to transfer them. That's why that card was really powerful, because it would allow you to do those transfers. Let's see, Point Guy rates Delta at number 3. Wow. So what was number 1? So these are legacy airlines, right? Or are you talking about airlines overall? Because airlines overall, that's good. And let's see, you got the link right here. Let's check this out. I'm interested to see this. Yeah, U.S. Best Airlines. Okay. Just reading this little article real quick. Let's see. So Alaska Air, Southwest are the best. Which, like Alaska Air, they get so much good press. Like their customer service, I hear, is really good, and that's probably what's keeping them on top. But they're always at the top of these when they do these ratings of airlines. And I've flown on Alaska before, and it was a good flight. It was a short flight though. It was only from San Jose to Los Angeles, which is like 45 minutes to an hour, so it wasn't a long flight. But yeah, JetBlue's in there. So what's the list look like? American Airlines. So traditional carriers, 2018, Alaska. So Delta was number 2. Number 3 was Air Canada. American Airlines, number 4. United, number 5. Wow. Low-cost carriers, Southwest, JetBlue. Let me let you guys see this. So I'm not just reading it out here and you guys are like, what is he talking about? So let's open this up. Right. Okay, let's see here. I just realized that I had it on this view the whole time. I opened it up in the chat, so you guys have been looking at me like this the whole time. Tell me, like, hey, what's going on? Why are you sitting up there in the corner? You're not talking about anything on the screen. So this is the article that Jeremy just pulled up here, or sent the link to, so you guys can check it out. But yeah, so Delta's up there, I guess. I mean, they're, as far as the legacy carriers, they're on top of United and American Airlines. And that's a satisfaction study that they did here. Let's look at some of the bottom. Frontiers at the, so low-cost carriers, Frontiers at the bottom. I don't see Spirit on there at all. Did they not make the cut? Maybe they didn't. Yeah, so as far as the traditional carriers, Delta looks pretty good. Yeah, definitely. United is last. Wow. So I in my experience with let me switch back, 'cause I don't like being on the screen here, so you guys can see. My experience with United has been pretty good. My experience with American Airlines wasn't very good. That's just because they lost my luggage, and it was probably. And I've said this before. All airlines are going to lose your luggage at some time. You're going to have delays. You're going to have all that kind of stuff. That's just going to happen. And maybe just because it happened all at once. I took a couple of flights, and on both those flights, I had issues with American Airlines, and it just got me to the point where I'm like, I don't want to deal with them anymore. So then I moved on. And now with United, it's been fine. So I really haven't had a reason to look elsewhere. But definitely, if Delta's like, if they're getting better ratings as far as satisfaction and everything, it might be something to look into. Now, my points that I have with the Chase ecosystem allow me to fly United a lot easier than some of the others. Let's see. Are you guys still seeing me, or am I out? Just let me know, because my screen went blank on here. There's an error that occurred. So let me know if you guys can still see me and everything. And this is funny because this happened again, or happened before. I was watching someone else's live stream, so it's probably my internet. Yeah, it's just not showing me anything. I'll refresh this and then we'll just keep talking. So yeah, when it comes down to it, United's I haven't had any issues with United. So if I start having issues with United, then maybe I'll I'll move on. I don't know. Who knows? But it is good to have options though, and that's one of the reasons why it's probably good to have more than just one ecosystem of cards. If you have American Express, and it'll give you more opportunities, or if you have Citi Thank You points, it gives you more opportunities to fly on different carriers. Easy, it makes it easier to find different carriers because I can still work my way around and get fly on different carriers even if I just have Chase just by going through some of their transfer partners. So I can still do that, but right now it just makes it easier if you have different ecosystems working. Let's see, where did we leave off? Um, so Hilton Aspire, if you don't use the resort fee every other year. Okay. I mean, you can convert Hilton points to airline points. I think 5-to-1 ratio. Ooh, that's not good though, man. You don't want to do that. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, that 5-to-1. You don't want that. Yeah, I wouldn't do that. You might even be better off just doing cashback and paying for it that way. I don't know. Yeah, 5-to-1 is not very good. Um, let's see. Nika, Alaska has great customer service. Yeah, that's what I hear. That's what I hear, and they're always on top when it comes to their ratings, the satisfaction. Like people like flying on Alaska. Okay. What's the longest flight everyone has been on? Longest flight for me was Newark to New Delhi, United 16 hours. Wow, that's a long flight. My longest flight was 12 hours, and that was the one to Thailand. So yeah, that was the longest flight that I've had. Now, or actually, I shouldn't say the longest flight. The longest flight was 12 hours, but it was 12 hours in the air, and then I had a layover, and then I had another 6 hours in a layover, and then whatever, 2 hours or whatever. So the longest, yeah, single just in the air was 12 hours, and I think planes can do. I think the longest flight is like 17 or 18 hours. Like the longest in the air flight is 16 or 17 or 18 hours, which is crazy to think that you can be in a plane that long. Yeah, that would be crazy. They doing the best to with profits and employee satisfaction. Uh, so Jenkins, what's going on? So he likes Delta as well. Nika United is investing a lot in service, new CEO, and a lot of new leadership. Yeah, that I don't. So they had the old CEO. I guess he kind of got out of there after that whole incident with that guy in the plane where they dragged the guy off the plane. His response was a little bit harsher. I don't remember all the details, but I do remember that there was some criticism about his response, and so yeah, he probably left shortly after that. Okay, all right. And okay, so Jeremy's saying that he loves the Delta app. I'll tell you, I love the fact that they have apps now for the different airlines. I think that that's great. Like the United has an app, American Airlines they have an app too. But I like United's app because I mean it gives me all the information that I need, and I don't have to go up to the little stand like back in the old days where you have to go and you stand up and you look and see, okay, is my flight there? Is it on time and all that? It'll give me text messages if the plane's on time. If the gate changes, it'll give me a text message. I can pull up the app and it'll show me all the information that I need and have my ticket on there so I don't have to print out a ticket. Yeah, the apps, that's a real good thing. Okay, so Nika saying Virgin America used to be her favorite. They're still there, right? I mean, they're Alaska Airlines now, but they're still. I don't think the planes are there anymore. I think they switched them all over. I know there was a point because I don't recall seeing Virgin America the planes anymore. But I know at one point they were talking when they just did the merger, they were talking about, yeah, we're going to keep the planes the same because people kind of like the whole look and feel of the plane with the purple on the inside and all that good stuff. But I think they did change them over. I could be mistaken, so let me know if I am. I just don't see them anymore. Let's see. All right, let's work our way down here. Uh, yeah, so Samuel's saying that's a bad transfer rate. Yeah, 5 to 1. You don't want to do that. You might as well just pay for that airfare and use those points for those Hilton points to stay at the Hilton, because you're gonna have to have a place to stay. So okay, 17 hours San Francisco to DXB. Is that Dubai? Emirates A380. Ooh, that's a nice plane. Business class. Ooh, yeah, that would be a nice flight. That's one of those flights you get in there. And I'm not gonna lie, I was that when I did that British Airways flight, I think that one was 11 hours, and it was one of those deals. I was having such a good time in first class. I'm like, I just wanna. We could just do another loop. It was that much fun. Like I could easily do another loop, get sleep for 8 hours, and wake up, eat another meal, and yeah. It was a pretty good experience where I was ready to keep going. I was hoping for even if it was a delay on the tarmac, be able to sit on the plane and lay down and take a nap. And hey, just wake me up when everything is settled. Okay, I think my longest flight was San Francisco to SIN. What is SIN? Like 16 to 17 hours. Oh God. Yeah, so you guys have been on some long flights. I haven't been on any flights that long. I plan to in the future, but I definitely can't do an economy flight like that. That would be real bad. Uh, my longest San Francisco to Sydney, that was 15 hours. My longest flying, and that was Nika saying that. My longest flying economy for 50,000 miles. Delta through Virgin, Seattle through LAX, 4 to 5 hours. And then LAX to London, 10 hours. A layover in Johannesburg, and or layover in London, and then to Johannesburg, South Africa. I want to go to South Africa, so that's going to be a long flight for me. Looks like that's David saying that. So you were all over, and you said that was economy for 50,000 miles. Okay. Let's see. Then within 1 hour of being in South Africa, I got assaulted and robbed at gunpoint. Okay, so that was a pretty interesting trip then. I still want to go to South Africa though. Yeah. Okay. So, Nika United has the same CEO from the Dr. Dow. Okay, so it's the same CEO. The prior CEO got out because he set up a bribe. Okay. How do you know all this info, Nika? All right. Nika's got all this info about United. I wonder why. Okay. Virgin is gone. Yeah. ImageWire, Singapore. That was his longest flight. So yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm gonna stick with United for right now. We'll see what happens. Nika, Johannesburg is dope. Yeah, I want to go. I want to go to South Africa. I definitely want to go to South Africa. I just need to kind of one long trip like that a year is good for me, and then my other trips go to like South America, that kind of stuff. But the plan is one. Like last year, Thailand, that was my one like long trip, and then I went to Aruba and I went to Colombia, and I went one other place I can't think of, right? Costa Rica, I think. Yeah, so I like doing the South America, Central America stuff because those are quick flights, like for the most part, 5 or 6 hour flight. So I like that. That's kind of that's like a sweet spot for me when it comes to economy. I can do an economy 5 to 6 hour flight, no problem. And I already have like my whole routine where it's kind of funny, but the first 2 hours you get on the plane, usually they serve a meal unless it's like a red eye flight. But my first couple of hours, I'm just kind of relaxing, waiting for the meal. Then I eat. Then once I do that, then the next couple of hours, I'm usually editing or doing something on my computer. And then the last 2 hours, I usually open up a movie on Netflix and watch that, and then just relax and get ready to come down. And that just streamlines everything. It seems like it's like I just got in the air, really, because I kind of have this set routine. I do it every time. So when I have like that 5 or 6 hour flight, that's kind of the routine that I go by the whole time. And it works. It works for me. I very rarely sleep on a plane unless even if I have one of those lie flat seats, I still can't sleep. Like I might sleep for an hour, hour and a half, but I still can't sleep. Even when I was in first class, I mean, that whole setup, we're like, it was a 747, so we're underneath the pilot. So you have the pilots overhead and we're like underneath them. We're at the nose of the plane. Like I was 3 seats back. And so, yeah, you the person that's at the very front, they're at the nose, and then the person right there, and then I'm right behind them. Even on that flight, I couldn't sleep. Like I slept for a little bit, and then I was up. So yeah, I generally can't sleep on planes. So I kind of have that whole routine set up for a 6 hour flight. So that's one of the reasons I really like going to like Colombia and areas around there, because it's a relatively short flight. And if you really do it right, you can go to Florida, fly out to Florida, hang out in Florida for a day or two, and then from Florida to go to Colombia, and that's like 2 hours, 2.5 hours. So you really break it up. And I've done that before, where you fly out. I've flown to Fort Lauderdale, stayed there for a day, and just kind of seen what Fort Lauderdale had to offer, and then you just fly into Colombia. So, all right, what else do we have on here? If you guys have any comments, questions, please put them up now, and then also hit the like button if you haven't done so, so we can make sure we get more people involved in our chat here, as well as the Facebook group. If you have not joined our Facebook group, please do so you guys can get a lot of information about travel, and we talk about everything when it comes to travel on there, as well as we were talking about luggage last week. So there are a lot of different things, and luggage is one of those things you want to get it right, because you don't want to be that person out there in another country wheeling your luggage down the street and one of your wheels falls off, or your zipper breaks, or something like that, and now you have to buy another set of luggage. Yeah, you don't want to be in that situation, and you're probably going to spend some money on some luggage if you're out, or if you're at an airport. Airport would be the worst place. And I always see those luggage stores in the airport, and I always think, who would buy luggage at an airport? Oh, you know who would buy luggage at an airport? Someone who had luggage that broke, and they have no choice. So yeah, and I could imagine how expensive that luggage is, and you're probably not getting the best quality either. Okay, let's see. Nika said it was all over the news. Yeah, that was a long time ago, though, for you to remember that. I don't know. For me, that was a while ago. Okay. You can book American Airlines flights with Chase points via British Airways. Yes, you can. Actually, it is usually the most efficient way to book AA flights. Yeah, and what Maine is saying, basically, so you have United, which is a Star Alliance. They have Star Alliance partners. One of their partners is British Airways. So if I have United, if I have if I have Ultimate Reward points, I can use British Airways as a funnel to transfer my points, and then book an American Airlines flight. So let's say I want to fly to Hawaii. I can fly to Hawaii using British Airways. So I can get on British Airways, type in, hey, I want to fly to Hawaii, and then they are going to set me up flying on an American Airline flight, or Hawaiian, or whatever. They're going to book me up on a flight. So that's a roundabout way. So you don't have to always have different ecosystems as far as cards are concerned, but it does help because it makes it easier. It's more streamlined if I go directly. Okay, let me set this up. Give me 1 second. You see my battery going down here. Okay. So yeah, I use power banks in order to run my camera, and usually the power bank will last for, God, it lasts for like 8 hours if I want to do it. But it was running low, so I had to just change it out. And the reason I use power, I'm just going to go into this since people are going to ask, well, why do you use a power bank? Why don't you just plug it into the wall? So I have a feature where I can plug it into the wall, but I also have a feature where I can put it into a power bank, plug it into a power bank. So just so I don't have to take an extra plug space, I just use the power banks, and they work. I mean, and plus I can have the camera wherever I want. I can move it around wherever I want and not have to worry about it. Or if I'm traveling, it's a perfect setup if I'm traveling because I don't have to worry about plugs. And usually when you go to a hotel, they're very skimpy on the plugs. Like they'll have a few, but then in most situations I bring like a plug, like the extension, not really the extension, but like the little portable ones that have extra plugs and extra little USB things. So yeah, that's what that is. So I just had to plug that in, make sure it doesn't go out. All right, let's go down the list here. My Marriott Vacation Club, Category 6 in Park City, Utah, $89 tonight. So David says he's in, where'd you say? Oh, Park City, Utah right now at a Marriott Vacation Club. $89 tonight for a 2-room villa. Oh, cool, cool. You got to post pictures, David. Put them in the Facebook group so we can see. Okay. Let's see. If the airline breaks your luggage, they'll give you a new one for free. Wow. I wish I would have known that, Nika. That's actually a really good tip. Because they broke my luggage. Who was that? Someone broke my luggage. I can't remember. It might have been United. This was 2 years ago or 3 years ago. They broke one of the zippers. They didn't break the whole luggage. They just broke a zipper on my luggage. But I could still use the luggage because it was just a zipper pull. It wasn't the whole zipper. But yeah, that is good to know. What's going on, Mike? Let's see. I remember when I was 7 years old, they let me see the front of the plane. The pilot sit mid-flight. Wow, mid-flight. Yeah, they won't be doing that anymore. This was Eastern Airlines. Yeah, good old Eastern. No longer Eastern. No longer Airline. Yeah, they don't. They used to do that. They're not really letting people in the cockpit anymore. That's a done deal. Let's see. I just booked Hawaii using Singapore Airlines. Oh, that's cool, Samuel. And I need to book I haven't booked my flight yet. Let's see. I'm going to Hawaii in June. Let's see. Using Singapore Airlines, United flight, pretty good rate, 35,000 Singapore miles round trip. Yeah, that's really good. And Maine turned me on to that award hacker. It's Award Hacker, right? And that's what they were showing on there. So I am going to look that up. They were showing that same thing, 35,000 points. Or actually, I think it might have even been less. Yeah, it might have been even less. So I will be looking that up. But yeah, Singapore Air, that's a good place to transfer your points in and book your airfare. Main saying that United breaks guitars. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, overall, like, I think I've improved I feel that I've improved my experience, my overall travel experience, going to the airport, doing all that good stuff. And so I'm hoping that some of those tips, I'm hoping that you guys can use some of those tips. A lot of the stuff is pretty common sense. Like, yeah, if you want food, bring food. But a lot of people don't think that you can bring food through TSA, through the checkpoint, because of the whole water thing. You can't bring water, so you can't bring food either. But you can bring food. You can bring food in there and save money because it's just so ridiculous how much they charge for food when you go to the airport. I mean, it's the same food. We're eating the same Burger King, the same McDonald's, all that Subway, all that stuff is the same, but they hike those prices up. Yeah, it's pretty unfortunate. But yeah, and then another thing, lounge access. If you can get it, I mean, it's so worth it, and that's why when when people are really skeptical about spending $450 for like the Chase Sapphire Reserve, people get very skeptical about $450 annual fee. That's crazy. And I tell my friends today, like, yeah, $450 I have to pay every year, and people are just like, that is nuts. How are you paying that? Why are you paying that? You get benefits from that, and if you travel enough, you're going to save money, like in the long run. So that's the way that I look at it. I mean, the $300 travel credit alone is good, and then you have the other $150 that you have to cover for. Well, I just walked you through kind of, or earlier, just walked you through kind of how much you would spend or could spend at an airport. Getting a sandwich, a bag of chips, and a drink, that's like $16, $17. And then let's say you want to get water for the plane, that's another $5. And then you might want to get a snack for the plane, that's another $3, $4. So you can spend that easily over time. If you travel enough, you're gonna bite into a lot of that. Whereas you can go to a lounge, if you have a Chase Sapphire Reserve, you have lounge access, or you have an Amex Platinum, you have lounge access. You can go to the lounge, eat whatever you want or whatever they have there, but eat snacks, get some water, all that kind of stuff, sneak some stuff out so you can have for the plane if you want to do that. So it does make sense in the long run. $450 is not too much to pay if you are going to travel. Now, if you're not traveling, yeah, there's no reason to get cards like that. But if you are going to travel, then it makes sense. Braveheart, what's going on? Okay. Donald Davis administration. Jeremy just accepted you to the group. Okay. Donald Davis. Admin Jeremy. Okay. I'm reading. Okay. So Donald Davis, welcome to the group. And let's see. Braveheart. Hey, Nick. What's up, David? This guy's okay. Yeah, so there's so many different things that you can do to save money, and that's you. For me, those are I want to be able to save as much money as I can prior to getting to my destination, and we'll talk more about just different destinations to go to where your money goes far, and that's another thing that I like too. Like, I'm finding that if I'm using points to fly, and I'm paying just the taxes and fees, which generally, let's say on average, it's like $100 if I'm traveling outside of the country. Now, if I'm within the U.S., it's going to be like, what is it, $11.50 or 40 cents, whatever it is. But if I'm traveling outside the country, generally on average, it's probably about $100, maybe a little bit less. So that's my flight using points. And then if I go to a hotel, if I stay at a hotel and I use points for that, I can kind of work my way around as far as points go with that. Or I can do Airbnb, certain areas where like, and I always use that example of Colombia because Colombia is your money goes so far. I get there, so I fly there, I pay $100 to get there, right? With my airfare, paying $29, $30, $40 at most. If it's an Airbnb, $40 a night, $40 or less at Airbnb a night. So I'm paying that, and then, I mean, I stayed there for 10 days. I spent $400 on my room, and my flight is already taken care of. So then I'm just paying money for just everyday things that I'm doing. And I'm telling you, it's cheaper a weekend. Like, I can go out for one night out here in California, in Southern California, and I'll spend more on that one night than I'll spend a whole weekend in Colombia. So that, I mean, you go out to dinner, and let's say you bring a date, you go on a date, you go out to dinner, you're going to spend easily, dinner at a decent restaurant, you're not going to walk out of there with for less than $50. Like, well, let's put it this way. Well, we'll be very conservative. $35 for 2 meals and 2 drinks. We'll say $40. $40 for 2 meals and 2 drinks. And then let's say you want to go to the movies, you go to the movies. That's another, God, that's another $30 there. So we're looking at, what's the math? What did I just say? $30. So that's like $70 for one night for two. When I was in Colombia, I went on a couple of dates. We didn't do the movie thing, but we did go to like clubs and drink and stuff like that. But dinner, $22, $23 for two of us. That's with alcohol, with like 3 beers each, so that's 6 beers total. And then, and this is a nice restaurant. And then went and had some drinks after that. I didn't spend more than, God, if I spent $35, I didn't spend more than $35. And that's one night for 2 people. And then next night you do the same thing. You're still looking at about $70 for 2 nights, for a Saturday and a Sunday, or for a Friday and a Saturday. Usually Sunday's a little slower in Colombia. But yeah, I'm just saying, so certain places that you travel to, you can also save a lot of money just going to those destinations and still be on vacation, still have a good experience, still be in a place that's nice and not like really a underdeveloped country. You're still in a country that's developed. You still have internet. You still have access to all that stuff, but you're spending a lot less. So it definitely works. Thailand's another place. You can go to Thailand. It does cost money to get to Thailand. Like, it's not cheap to get there. You can use points. I did use my points the last time I went. So I was able to get there for, I think it was like $300 total for my airfare and, round trip, all that good stuff. Business class, pretty much the whole way. I only had one economy flight. And then once you get to Thailand, everything is really reasonable. Even their hotels I stayed at a Hyatt place there in Phuket, $50 a night. I had my own room. My buddy had his own room, and we were good to go. So yeah, just other things to look at. So I do want to talk about that too. Certain destinations you can go that are really reasonable. There's some that are not. Costa Rica used to be a very reasonable place. Like, it used to be very reasonable to go there as far as the cost of everything. Their prices have started to go up. There are more and more people have discovered Costa Rica, and there are a lot of Americans that live in Costa Rica now. They're very Americanized. They have a lot of restaurants and stuff that we have in the U.S. It was just funny to me when I went there, because I'm just thinking, this is just like the U.S. They have Applebee's, they have Walmart, they have Popeye's chicken. They had a bunch of stuff like that I thought was only in America. So, but their prices they're jumping up there. It's not a cheap place to visit anymore. It used to be a lot cheaper. And Aruba, same thing. Their prices are starting to go up. They're not as cheap as they used to be. Great destinations. Both of them are great destinations, but they're not, you go to Colombia and it's a lot less, and then you go over to the small little island of Aruba and you're paying a lot more. And you're on vacation in both places, and they both have good things to offer. Like, Aruba's nice. They have nice beaches and everything like that, but you can also find some real nice beaches in Colombia if you go to some of their islands. So, all right. Let's see. I'm investing. So Braveheart said I'm investing in the Chase ecosystem. Okay. And Nika, wait, I missed Nika's thing here. Oh, I missed a few things. Hold on. Let me back up. Okay. I see that California gas at the pump will be $4 by the end of the next week. Yeah, our gas does get pretty expensive out here. I wonder how that correlates to jet fuel. I don't know. I don't know how that all works. I do know there was a time when gas prices were going up, and I'm old enough to still remember when you had a free check bag, and then all of a sudden, gas prices are too high, and so now we're gonna have to start charging people for bags. and then gas prices went down, and then once they get you locked in as a business, once they get you locked in with that, oh, everybody, you have to pay for your check bags. Then once you're locked in, they're not going to pull back on it unless the consumer really starts to gripe and say, no, I'm not going to fly. And you guys, well, they all have them now, so they all have the fees. So unless one airline, one legacy carrier pulls out and says, no, we're going to give you free check bags, then everybody jumps over to them. If that happens, then that would probably change things. But if that doesn't happen, then, and it probably won't happen because they're making money on it. Let's face it. That's the bottom line. If they're going to make money on it and people are willing to pay, that's the way it's going to be. Let's see. TC, should I upgrade the Chase Sapphire Preferred to the Chase Sapphire? Wait, you're saying the same thing. So the Chase Sapphire Preferred to the Chase Sapphire Reserve, I'm thinking. And you said you're already over 524. I would go in the branch and ask them, like, can I get because what I would want, I want that bonus. That's what I would want. So I would try to go in there and see if you qualify for the Chase Sapphire Reserve and get a new one. And if they tell you no, then see if you can upgrade, I guess. I don't know. Or you can actually, you have the Chase Sapphire Preferred, so you can't get the Reserve because you have the Preferred. I would ask them what your options are, because you don't want to cancel that card and then not be able to get, or maybe you downgrade I don't know. That's tricky. What do you guys think? I don't know. I would want to get that sign-up bonus, so that's my thing. Like that 50,000 sign-up bonus. That's what I would be interested in getting. Let's see. Nika, hotels are cheaper overseas too. Yeah, they are. They definitely are. Braveheart, I'm investing in Chase ecosystem. I thought about upgrading my Chase Sapphire Preferred, Chase Sapphire Reserve, but I got the Platinum. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, yes, to upgrade to Chase Sapphire Reserve, definitely, because you get more benefits with that card. But it just hurts me because of that sign-up bonus. You're not going to be able to get that. Let's see. I am Team Chase Sapphire Reserve and Platinum. You both should do it. What? Okay. Let's see. Chase Sapphire Reserve is a crappy card. I know you were going to say that. Let's see. Missed a spot here. Vietnam is very cheap as well. 23,000 dong to $1. Easy to be a millionaire. Sort of like Turkey. Yeah, and Vietnam. I like to go to Vietnam as well. That's a destination. I have one of my coworkers. She's Vietnamese and she goes there all the time, and she's always hitting me up. Hey, you should come. I'll show you around town and all that. So I do want to go, and she knows I'm like a avid photographer, so she knows of all these spots where I can take pictures and everything. So I'm gonna take her up on that offer and go. Let's see, Braveheart. I'm not cool enough, I guess. Hey, Braveheart. Let's see here. I plan to ask for an upgrade on my Chase Sapphire Preferred, Chase Sapphire Reserve in September. So that's Rolo saying that he plans to ask for an upgrade from Chase Sapphire Preferred to Chase Sapphire Reserve, and I'm guessing that's the only way you can do it. I don't know. I have them both right now, but I've had them. I had the Chase Sapphire Preferred, and then when they announced the Chase Sapphire Reserve, I jumped on it right then. So at that time, you could have both cards, but now they're not allowing you to have both. So I guess your only option really is to upgrade, unless you cancel the Chase Sapphire Preferred, which I wouldn't really recommend doing that, and then try to get the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Let's see. I was saying hi from earlier. Chase Sapphire Preferred is only good for travel insurance when booking flights. Let's see. Chase Sapphire Preferred. when you're saying only good, well, I mean, it has other benefits too. But if you're comparing it, are you comparing it to another card? Because yeah, you have benefits with Chase Sapphire Preferred. You have the rental insurance too. If you're gonna rent cars, things like that. Let's see. But I just found out I can add my sister to the Amex Platinum. Yeah, you can do the ad for $175, and she gets the same benefits. So she gets the Centurion Lounge. I don't know if you would. I don't know if you should give her all that. Let's see. Maine, I think Southwest gives you a free check bag. Yes, they do, but I I'm not a Southwest fan. I like to be able to pick my seat, so I'm kind of anal about that. And Southwest can't compete with the legacy carriers, and I'm mainly talking about the legacy carriers. They can't compete with Delta and United and American, and they know that because they fly to more destinations. They have their travel partners, their alliances, I mean, all set up, so they can fly anywhere in the world. So they have that stronghold there. So Southwest can't compete with them. They can compete with them in certain destinations, and a lot of people do take Southwest when they're flying domestically. But when it comes to flying overseas and flying out of the country, and just the sheer number of planes that uh, that the legacy carriers have, they can't really compete with them. Now, if you had one of the legacy carriers do it, if you have United do it, I think it would change things. Like people would, we might get back to the check, but no baggage fee for one piece of luggage. Okay, all right. We're gonna run through these questions real quick. If you guys have anything else, just let me know, and then we're gonna have to call it for tonight. I will be back on tomorrow. So tomorrow at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we're gonna go ahead and talk. We're gonna talk either photography or Colombia. I haven't decided yet. I'll put it out on the Facebook group so you guys can see it. You'll have the thumbnail so you'll know what we're gonna talk about. But I do want to get to a point where, like I said, I want to talk a little bit more about Colombia, just because I really want to advertise for that country. I think it's a great place for Americans to go. So that's why I'm really pushing it. And it's one of those deals where you find something, you discover something. I didn't discover it. I shouldn't say that. That's a real bad word because I was on YouTube looking at other people going to Colombia, and then I went. But when you see something and you think, wow, this is really something that people should know about. And when you see that, I just want to talk about it. I don't know. Call me weird. But and I think there's kind of a desire. There's people that are interested, definitely interested in Colombia. So, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't know about Colombia. And I learned that. Well, I already knew that I didn't know a lot about Colombia, but I learned a lot just by being in this WhatsApp group that we're in, where people just talk about Colombia and their experiences, and you start learning different things. And so that's helping me as well. And I want to share some of that, some of the new things that I've learned, and all that kind of stuff. So, all right, we'll see where it goes. But definitely, I still want to talk about the travel gadgets and gears and travel gadgets, gear, and photography stuff. So we will still be talking about that, and maybe I'll kind of put it together. I don't know exactly what we're going to do yet, but Samuel, Chase Sapphire Preferred, I think, is good if you have a lot of UR points and want to use the transfer partners, but don't want to pay for the Chase Sapphire Reserve annual fee, like if you have other cards for daily spend and lounge, etc. Yeah, I agree with you, Samuel. So if you do have another card that allows you priority pass. Okay, so the battery went out, and the other one's going to be going out soon. So I'm going to kind of wrap it up real soon. Let me see. Am I in focus? No, I'm not. Let's get back in focus here. Just give me 1 second. And can you guys hear me? Yeah, I think you can. Let me just set this up one more time here. Oh, I should be on camera, but I'm not. All right, let me do this real quick and pull this right back up. So I imagine you guys can't see me right now, right? Hello, let's get that. And all right. We should be back, hopefully. Okay. I apologize for that. Like I said, I have it on the battery, so I'm only going to be on here for a couple more minutes, and it's going to go out again. I don't know where I left off, but we'll just go through these questions real quick, and then we'll be back on tomorrow. When we get back on tomorrow, we'll talk a little bit more, and I'll pick up where we left off here. Let's see. So let me just kind of skim through. So yeah, and I think we were just talking kind of about the fact that if you do have other cards that will give you priority pass and stuff like that, then yeah, Chase Sapphire Preferred is fine because you have other cards that are going to get you, the same benefits that the Chase Sapphire Reserve would get you. Okay, so let me go through. I don't want it to go out again, so I'm going to kind of cut this a little short here. DJI put out a firmware update for Osmo Pocket. Yeah, Image, they did. I haven't updated it yet, but I will. Peace sign, Hardy. Let's see. Nope. Can you see here? Okay, yeah. All right. Nice pick. Nice pick. What pick? What pick are we talking about? All right. So, yeah, I'm gonna go only because, like I said, the battery is almost dead. I did a 3-hour stream yesterday, so that kind of killed it. So tomorrow we'll be on. We're going to be talking about Colombia. We're also going to be talking, if there's any, I think what I'm going to do is this. We're going to talk about Colombia on Mondays. And then if there are any announcements or anything like that when it comes to cameras, usually they do announcements on Tuesday. And so if there are any announcements when it comes to camera equipment or anything new that comes to camera equipment, I'll probably mention it on Monday as well. When I think it's travel related. So I don't want to just talk just about cameras, but I do want to talk about cameras when it comes to travel related stuff or travel, cameras for travel. So we'll just go with that. All right. But I like I said, I wanna turn everybody on to Colombia. I really do. So we'll go with that. We'll work with that and we'll see how it works. If it does good, then we'll continue. If it's not doing really good, then I'll kind of change different, maybe change to different topics. Let me know in the Facebook group, though, what you guys want to see, what you guys want to hear, what type of streams you want me to do. That helps out a lot, too. That helps me kind of figure out exactly what I want to do with that. Okay, so I am going to take off now. I appreciate everybody for stopping by. Hardy, thank you very much again for the super chat. I really appreciate that. And you guys, like I said in the last stream, you guys have all been great when it comes to just helping out and helping answer questions and all that good stuff. Facebook group, everything has been going really good. And that motivates me to want to get on here 3 nights a week and just talk, because it's like, okay, yeah, we have a good community going, and I want to just build on that community and have more and more people involved. So, all right, that's it. I'm going to have to go. because I'm losing power. I see it. So, so I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow. If you guys have any other comments or anything like that, just put it in the comments section. All right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.